For trial attorneys, there is a danger in how you ask questions to the same extent that there's a danger that you ask bad questions. The jury hears and sees not just what you are asking, but how you're asking it. Here's what we're talking about today. In this case, the defense has called the sister of the defendant to come to the stand and talk about some of the turmoil in her life, particularly with her boyfriend slash husband slash ex-husband slash whatever function he actually served. Supposedly he was supporting the children, but the judge here is more of one of the judges who likes to let people try their case, and she's been overruling a lot of objections, which I think is very good. I want you to pay attention here to the way that in this cross-examination, how it differs from the questions that were asked in the direct examination, and especially listen to the tone. And then pay attention, we're going to go through the redirect as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Crystal Barreto. I am the sister of David.
Okay, so Daisy's your sister.
Yes.
Um, do you live in Florida?
I live in Homestead, Florida.
Okay. Back in 2022, did you also live in Homestead, Florida?
Yes.
Back in June of 2022, around June 19th, June 20th of 2022, did you come to learn about something that happened to your sister, to Daisy?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Without telling me what was told to you, did you at some point receive some pictures?
Yes.
How did you receive those pictures? From who?
From Daisy through text message.
Text message. So, Judge, if I may approach, I'm showing you what's already in evidence as State's Exhibit. Well, I'll start with State Exhibit B. Is that one of the pictures that you saw that you received from Daisy?
Yes.
And what is that? What do you see in that picture?
Daisy's with blood all over her shoulder area and looks like some hair and on her shirt.
Okay. I'm now showing you what is in evidence as Defense Exhibit C. Is that one of the pictures that you received from Daisy on that same instance?
Yes, it is.
And what do you see in that picture?
It's Daisy's head, opened like a gash in her head with blood on her head and her hair.
So after you received that notification from Daisy and you received these pictures, did there come a point after that where you met with your sister Daisy in person?
Yes, when she sent me the pictures, I offered to take her to the hospital, and I went in person to her home to get her children so that she would be able to go to the hospital and get treated for her injuries.
Okay, now when you went to her home for that purpose,
hmm
do you know how long it had been since she had received those injuries?
It had been maybe a few hours, maybe 24 hours. I don't really know the time frame of when it happened because I wasn't there when it actually happened. I was only there, after the fact and to get the children from her to make sure they were in a safe place so that she could get treated for the injuries that were on her head that looked severe, in my opinion.
And And that was gonna be my next question. When you saw Daisy, did you have an opportunity to actually see her head and see her injuries?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you see when you made that observation?
I seen open wounds on her head area. It looks like you can see like her skull, lots of blood, lots of swelling all over her head. I urged her to go to get medical treatment because I felt like something could happen to her. Because it didn't look, anybody who would have saw that injury would have been worried for her safety and for her life.
So you took care of her children, and what what did Daisy do when you took care of her children, as far as you know?
As far as I know, because I was checking up on her through the time frame of how she was and how she was feeling, she went to the hospital to get medical treatment while I stayed with her children.
Okay. Now, without telling me what you said or what anybody else said, at some point did you communicate with somebody else or share those pictures with somebody else?
Well, as soon as I saw the pictures, and I immediately contacted my mother, and I let her know that okay.
I don't, I don't want to get into what you told her or anything, but in your communications with your mother, did you send her those pictures that I just showed you?
Yes, I did. I did send her those pictures.
At some point after that, your mother lives in Texas, right?
Correct.
Some point after that, your mother come down to Florida.
Yes, she did.
Um, around this time, were you, just for context, around this time, did you have some kind of medical issues yourself?
Around this time when this was happening, I had just given birth and I had a cesarean section, and I wasn't able to really do a lot to try to help Daisy and with the kids because my mobility was kind of limited and what I was able to do as far as, trying to help out in a way that I really couldn't help out.
Okay. All right. So your mother came down to Florida. What was your understanding of what your mother's plan was in coming down to Florida?
So what I know, what we communicated, what I asked of her was to come down to Florida because the injuries that I saw looked really severe, and I figured they were could be life threatening to me, in my opinion. Please come down, take Daisy and her children to Texas, which was a safer place for them.
And as far as you know, is that the plan?
Yes, that was the plan.
In that, you probably heard the objection to hearsay, which is why she couldn't talk about what anybody said to her. And you also heard a later objection. It didn't appear clear to me what that objection was about, but the judge overruled it. Again, she's letting them try their case. And the purpose of her mom coming down was to take her to a safe place. Hence, the place where she was not safe. And that, of course, is what he's trying to communicate here. Now, let's watch a little bit of this cross examination and again, notice the tone. And I'm going to have several observations here about the prosecution and how it is asking questions. The reason that's important is because it factors in to the reasonableness of her fear. In other words, if she's firing in self-defense, it figures into the reasonableness of her fear of this man and why she might discharge a round even though he appears to be going the other way. She doesn't know that he's not going to the car or the truck to get something to hit her with. And she knows that he has a pistol because he's used it on her before. So all of these things factor into why he's asking that.
Good afternoon, Ms. Berta.
Good afternoon.
So you were asked on direct examination about the statement you made to police, and I don't want to misquote you.
Mhm.
So you mentioned that you never told police anything about if Pedro is dead, Daisy must have shot him.
Correct.
You said you never told police that.
No, they asked me if I recall telling them that, and I told them no, I did not recall saying that.
I'm sorry, Ms. Burrito. So I want to get this clear. On direct examination, when the defense attorney asked you,
Mhm.
do you remember telling the police if Pedro was dead, Daisy must have shot him? You said, I never told police that.
Here she's trying to impeach a witness with a prior inconsistent statement. She said one thing at one time, and now she's saying something that's different. But the question and the subject of this question are completely ridiculous because the fact that she shot him is not in dispute. There's no, third person out there in the weeds sniping at poor Pedro. Everyone knows and everyone understands that she fired the shot. So that's not even at issue. And the idea that she would say that, again, that has no probative value on whether the reason for shooting him was in some way related to self-defense. So relevance would be a key thing here, and that is an objection that should be made at this point. Whether or not it would be sustained or overruled, I don't know. But that's what ought to be happening here.
Did I misquote you?
Are you talking about when he did my deposition?
No, I'm talking about right now when he was asking you the question.
Correct.
That's what you said?
Right.
You remember giving a deposition.
I do.
The state was there,
Yes.
the defense attorney was there,
Mhm.
a court reporter was there,
Yep.
and they were typing everything you said.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And you swore to tell the truth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole truth,
Yes.
and nothing but the truth. Just like you're doing here today.
Just like I'm doing here right now.
Now directing court, counsel, and witness to Ms. Barreto's deposition, page 28, starting at line 22. Question. Permission to approach the witness, Judge?
This is what we in the legal world would call improper impeachment, because you absolutely have to give the witness a copy of their deposition so they can follow along. Because if you don't read something right, they have the right to object and say, hey, you didn't read that right. But she's going to make the point that in her deposition, she said what she said, and the witness is going to admit it. And again, the question is, what possible relevance can it have? Let's see.
I'm going to start here.
Mhm.
Question. Do you remember saying, question, do you remember saying that if he, meaning Pedro, is dead, that Daisy must have shot him? Answer. No, I don't remember saying that.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes.
But today, you remember 110% you didn't say it.
Right.
So is it that you don't remember or you didn't say it, Ms. Barreto?
Well, the question was, did I remember when he asked me? And I said, no, I don't remember.
No, the question was, did you make the statement? And you said you didn't. So my question is, did you not make the statement or is that you don't remember?
But I think you just read me the question and it said, do you remember saying that? And I said, I do not remember saying that.
Absolutely. So Ms. Barreto, I'm going to ask you again.
Mhm.
Is it that you did not make the statement for sure? Or is it that you don't remember making that statement?
I did not make the statement 100% for sure. Unless I was a psychic, then I would have made the statement. But I'm not a psychic.
Okay, so now I want to talk about other questions you were asked on.
Okay, so for those of you who are playing along at home, this is where we point out that the prosecutor just made a huge mistake. If you're going to go through this ridiculous impeachment with this witness, then you have to bring it home and plant it on her doorstep. Because what she should have done at this point is, so when I took your deposition, that was X months ago, correct? And she would have said yes. And at the time, you said you didn't remember saying that, correct? Yes. And now, when I'm asking you this question, you're saying you do remember it. So, how did your memory improve between then and now? Did you take memory supplements? Did you receive hypnotic training? And of course, she's going to say no to these questions. Are you on some kind of drug that makes it easier for you to remember, like Aricept? And at some point, the judge is going to rein her in and the defense is going to object. But she has to drive home the point that this woman has an improved memory when she shouldn't have an improved memory. And of course, this is one of the risks of putting up a family member as a witness for the defense, because the family member is absolutely going to do everything they can to save the loved one that's up on charges. And so when you do an impeachment, you don't just walk away from it at that point. If what you're trying to do is convict, you point out or you ask the question at the end, isn't your claim of memory based solely on the fact that your sister is sitting over there in the dock being prosecuted for this murder, and that's why you now have this sudden revelation of memory? In that way, you're able to bring it home. But here's the other thing. Have you noticed how her questions just drip with acid? And that's not a good. The best way to do this is just to not let butter melt in your mouth. Did I misquote you? But instead of did I misquote you, it came off, in my view, as being rather sharp. So let's see how the defense attorney goes about repairing any damage that he thinks got done.
You were asked a question a few moments ago about you only knowing what Daisy told you, right?
Correct.
Well, you saw pictures for yourself, right?
Yes, I did.
And you saw those injuries for yourself, right?
I did see them.
And those injuries were fresh, right?
They were pretty fresh.
And there was open wounds on her head, right?
Open wounds, blood, and you can see her skull bone.
So that's not just what she told you, right?
No, it's what I saw in
You saw
person.
with your own eyes, right?
Yes, my own eyes.
And what effect did seeing that have on you?
I felt like it was life threatening. I felt like, sorry.
Now, I ask a good question there, but the state is objecting to the answer because what the answer is here, what the answer is that's being given, is essentially lay witness opinion. And she's not a medical doctor. She has no way of knowing whether or not it's uh, life threatening or not. To her, it may have looked life threatening, but it's lay opinion. And so, assuming that he can offer some rationale for it, the judge will let him get by with it. Otherwise, that answer is going to be stricken, and that's the reason why they've put up the little fuzzy white noise thing so you can't hear them discuss it. But at the end, he comes back and asks this question. Now, he asked a good question there, but the state is objecting to the answer because what the answer is here, what the answer is that's being given, is essentially lay witness opinion. And she's not a medical doctor. She has no way of knowing whether or not it's uh, life threatening or not. To her, it may have looked life threatening, but it's lay opinion. And so, assuming that he can offer some rationale for it, the judge will let him get by with it. Otherwise, that answer is going to be stricken, and that's the reason why they've put up the little fuzzy white noise thing so you can't hear them discuss it. But at the end, he comes back and asks this question.
So once you see that, you do, and what if anything is crossing your mind?
When I seen that, I felt like the situation was an emergency situation to where either Daisy herself or her kids had to be taken out of that situation. To me, it was not a very good place for either of them to be, and it was a very dangerous situation. Um, to where if somebody would have did that to me, I would feel like they were trying to take my life away.
Right, thank you, ma'am. That's all the questions I have.
Now, I have to say, for a family member, she did pretty well. She didn't get shaken when they started to impeach her over her prior testimony. She just forthrightly said, "No, I absolutely never told them that." So you have to understand it's completely possible for there not to have been a memory issue. And I just realized that a second ago. She said, "Do you recall?" If the question was, "Do you recall saying that?" And she said, "No, I don't recall saying that." That doesn't mean that that she didn't say it. It means that she doesn't recall saying it. But if she didn't say it, clearly she wouldn't recall saying it. Again, he could have pointed that out perhaps more eloquently than he did, but overall, I thought he did a great job with this witness. And to a certain extent, I think the prosecution did a pretty admirable job with her, too. Again, she's a sister. She's going to say whatever she needs to say. And you don't need to point that out to the jury because they already know that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here today. If you have the opportunity today, try to do one kind thing to help somebody else. Any kind thing will do. Buy somebody a Coke, get them a cup of coffee, anything that makes their day better. That would be a way to help make the world a better place. Because after all, isn't that what we're all after? Now, YouTube has a few things that they think you might be interested in, and they're going to be showing you that right up there.